And we're live. Good morning. Well, maybe afternoon, wherever you are. Happy Friday. And it's another umbraCoffee, episode 186. And I'm joined by two very wonderful guests today. Hey, Lucy and Paul. How are you doing?
Hi.
Morning. You all right?
Very well, thank you.
Yeah, we were just discussing before we went live. It's been a long time since we've spoken individually and together, in fact, because, well, a lot's happened in the past
Indeed.
year or so, hasn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, how's life treating you?
Yeah, pretty good. We're very busy with work and the dog, so
Yep.
that's keeping us on our toes for sure.
Tiggy's the dog. She joined your family
last August. Yeah, so
August.
almost a year ago. So she's a year old now, and then she joined us when she was 12 weeks old.
Lovely.
So,
and Paul, you've got a newish addition to your family as well.
Yeah, we've got a new baby. They're probably going to photo bomb in a minute, video bomb, and walk through the office to get into the house. So you might see a sneak peek.
Amazing. Cool. Well, yeah, I think it's busy time for everyone at the moment. I titled this week's episode "Light on News" because actually it kind of is. We don't have all that much news, all that much going on in the Umbraco community. I think, yeah, we're going to be able to cover all of it in a shorter episode this week, which is good. Marcin's away. I was away last week. I think everyone's kind of taking a bit of a break. It happens once a year or so. There's the video bomb. Fantastic. Well, okay. You know what? Let's dive in and let's talk about some releases. Get those out of the way, and then we can talk about some other things that have been going on this week. So this one's really cool. From a chat with, well, I posted a tweet asking how are people working with USync nowadays? Like, what's the go-to best practices? Are we letting it just import everything automatically, or do we want a bit more structure? And Kevin, as amazing as he is, went away and bashed out this way of effectively interacting with USync via an API, so you could do it via your build pipeline or deployment pipeline. And that's already, I think he's released 2 or 3 versions of this betas. They're on NuGet. USync triggers. Go download that one. Another one, V9 seems to be the talk of the town. So Nick Rimington has updated the page not found manager. This is a package that Tim Geissens, I think, created for V6 maybe, or V7 at least. Nick helped with the V8 version, and he's taken it on for V9. So well done, Nick. This looks awesome. And I was going to say, and I don't mean to call you out, Nick, it's funny because this plagues people all the time, the no current release on our, where if you forget to upload a file or tag it as a current thing, then it doesn't set the release. I know for V9, if you're doing a NuGet package, it doesn't actually show, but I just found it quite funny that it's still saying no release. And the final one that I wanted to highlight was something from Soren. I think there's not a week that goes by at the moment without us being teased about a new potential Umbraco package or a V9 package. And this one seems really cool. So it's a kind of stats dashboard, I think, where you can create statistics in the back office, and it's pluggable. So you can register your own things there, which is pretty sweet. And then I was going to talk to you, Paul, because a few weeks ago you did the dynamic images package, which I think is really cool. I said on umbraCoffee at the time, in fact, that I think it was the same, literally the day before GitHub released a library. GitHub released open source their library that they use for generating the thumbnails for repos. And then I was going, that would make a great Umbraco package. And literally the next morning, you had an Umbraco package out. I'm sure, well, maybe you're stayed up all night, but I assume.
No, I'm not that good or quick. I've been playing around with it for a few weeks just because I wanted to do it on my own blog. Even though ever since I've made the package, I've not written one single blog post, so it's not exactly being used on my blog. But I just think it's one of those problems to solve that you've got. These unsplash images or generic stock photos don't work on a technical blog. And when I saw GitHub start doing that with the author profile picture, I thought that's really good. And then how can I make the text dynamic? And I've always been a bit obsessed with the the image processor and the image factory and things. So I've done a few different packages that uses it. So I thought I'm going to try this and see if I can do it. Like Warren said on one of his tweets about scratching that itch, it's just one of those problems you just want to try and solve. And then I thought I'd try and make it reusable for other people so they can do it on their blogs if they want to. I think Scrift are trying to use it or going to use it. Because I did a demo. One of the examples on the repo is a Scrift one, and I think Umbraco. I'm not sure who else has used it, but yeah, hopefully some people get some use out of it, even if I'm not yet.
Yeah.
But when it comes, I was going to say, when it comes to V9, I think I will try and play with Image Sharp because it'd be a good excuse to as well to have a play and see what libraries are in that to use.
You did say you've got a lot of packages that use image processor, and of course that's not a thing on NetCore or Net5. It's Image Sharp now, which is by all accounts a fantastic imaging library that again James South has written, but probably quite a big rewrite or change. So you've got a few packages that if you wanted to migrate, you'd have to kind of work out.
It's a good excuse to learn, isn't it?
It is
to learn about how to do that. With that .NET Core version, Image Sharp. Yeah,
definitely. Well, that's cool. That's great. So we really love that package. I'll need to find an excuse. I've got a personal site and it's been sitting on my dev machine for 2 years, and I'm still yet to get around to actually finishing it. It's the same with our company site. We've spent years trying to actually pull that together. It's going to happen this year, but these things always end up bottom of the pile, don't they? And Paul, also, I'm gonna dig up a tweet that you posted last week where you said that you've been playing with Umbraco 9, as I think a lot of people have, and you might release a starter kit of some sort. You've kind of been focusing on getting it polished a bit. So do you want to say?
I've been working on V9. And actually with V9, I'm going to be doing some more videos about it because people keep asking me about, am I going to be doing any videos? And I think this time around, when I start releasing videos, it will be via Moriyama's YouTube channel. So I'm going to start doing some through my Works YouTube channel as well. So I'll be maybe doing some on mine and some on Works, but so that'll be good. And but whilst I've been investigating Umbraco 9 and playing with it, I've started this site. I don't know. Can I share my screen on here?
Go on. Yeah, we like an impromptu demo. So go on. I'll let you do it.
Let me share this, and then. So all it is, it's quite a simple one. I like to. So when I do a starter kit, I'm not trying to give you this is what you then use to build all your sites. Maybe some people do, but I usually try and give you this is what, so you can install something that looks a bit decent when you're showing people Umbraco. That's usually why I do these. But yeah, so this is an Umbraco 9 site, and I just used Bootstrap Studio to create this. And then I downloaded the assets and I'm turning it into my Umbraco 9 site, and I'm using the block editor. Oh, sorry. I'm using the block editor to try and do some of these rows and things like that, just experimenting with the block editor in V9 and coming across some issues that are still there, like the multi-URL picker and what have you. But yeah, eventually when I'm happy with it, I might just try and release it as a bit of a starter kit before V9 is released. And I'm interested in trying to use the new way of doing installing the content and the doc types, and that using triggers looks really good. I'm wondering if I can hook into that using triggers as well to get it to install the usync files.
Oh yeah, very cool. Well, I think as you said there, these aren't really designed for someone to build a site off. They are an example of how you might do it, or a showcase from Umbraco. And Vendor, you've got the same, haven't you, with the demo store? That's a nice, easy way to get something up and running, but you're probably not going to build a real world site off of it.
Yeah. No, I mean, it can be used as something to get started for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, very cool. So maybe we'll be seeing another starter kit from you, Paul. That's exciting.
Yeah. And an update to my, I think I'll try and bring clean starter kit over as well to V9.
Very nice. Very, very nice. Cool. Well, that's lots of exciting things to come then. And I mentioned vendor, so should we talk about vendor? Because
Sure.
I think it was Lottie that said there's a kind of like vendor drinking game where for every time vendor gets mentioned in UmbraCoffee, you take a shot. Which
if we did it really, we would be very drunk.
Yeah, we mentioned it quite a bit, but we love vendor. I do a lot with vendor. I know that Marcin and Callum are also working with vendor. It's a really nice product. I've said this a few times that I hate e-commerce. We never did e-commerce before, but vendor actually makes it really nice. So
that's kind of you to say.
That's why we give you the praise. But you had an exciting announcement this week. Maybe you want to say something about it.
Yeah, so we've launched Vendor Lite, which is a paid-back version of our standard product, which comes in at a cheaper price point on a monthly subscription. So we think that this is ideal for small businesses and startups. I think from the very beginning, we kind of had it in the back of our minds that we might do something like this, but we've obviously got to get the product out first. And we then worked on getting subscription out to give a different option from a payment perspective. And because we have that set up, we then looked at how we might create a limited feature set so that we could offer something at a cheaper price point, as we had quite a lot of inquiries from small businesses, developers with clients who run small businesses and who are really wanting to take those first tentative steps into the e-commerce space. And of course, their trusted developers are Umbraco devs. So it's how can we make that work for our people, basically. So Matt worked hard on figuring out what were the right things, what's just enough to get somebody going, because you need all the basics that are going to make a shop work, plus a few extras that keep it a nice, attractive option. But while not being that next step up with lots of features that you perhaps wouldn't need as a first starting out. So as you can see now on screen, there's a comparison table there that just compares the differences between Lite and our standard offering. And then, of course, further down, we've got the cheaper price on a monthly basis.
€45. I mean, it's a bargain. Yeah. I said this before, that even the €85 is a complete bargain, but I think that makes a ton of sense. And the people you're targeting it at, which is one store, single currency, small amount of products, this is perfect. And I would say that the majority of the vendor sites we've done actually probably fall within that bracket anyway. The kind of small, just produce something. We have a charity client who wants to just be able to have a way of taking donations, and I think this would be perfect for it. So some preset amounts you can buy and you can donate in someone's name. This would pretty much get us 90% of the way there. Which is awesome.
And I think that's it. We're small business owners ourselves. A lot of our clients in the past have been small business owners, so we know what the struggles are with cash flow and potentially huge initial overheads to get going. And it can be a real off-putting situation for somebody who perhaps doesn't really know what they're doing with it, but they're reliant on a developer to say, oh, well, this is the right software, this is the right thing to use. So if you can take kind of that barrier away where price is just something they're going to balk at, then actually, they can still get a great shop up and running fairly quickly with vendor and Umbraco, but at a price that they can manage over time.
I assume I can set up a Lite store and then later upgrade to a full license.
Completely. Yeah, totally. So with the subscription model, there's a link within the original order email, and that will take you to your Stripe dashboard, and you can switch between the two subscription plans for either Lite or Complete. And so all you'll do is make the switch on Stripe, and obviously that will then, on your next monthly cycle payment, take the next amount that's needed. And it just like the pro rata rates as well. And then once you head back into the back office and into the settings section, if I remember rightly, there's a refresh license button. So you can click that, and then that will go and grab the current license for the next plan. So you can then say, right, well, I'm ready for all the features now. We've grown a bit, cash flow's good, and we now need more stores, more currencies, or whatever it may be. And of course, if you didn't want to be on subscription, you could quite easily cancel your subscription, and you'd run to the end of the cycle, and then you could purchase a full license and just work with that. So it's really easy to switch up as the business grows, basically, which is again another thing we wanted to make sure that was possible.
One of the I wouldn't say criticisms, but the resistance that you get with having come from like a community where predominantly things are open source and freely available, and people give their time away for free a lot. Making people pay for things can be quite difficult. But I guess this eases that a little bit, doesn't it? You don't need a license to develop against vendor. You only need it to actually launch, and you can run vendor on staging URLs and things without a license as well. It's only when you need to actually run the site, and this €45 a month thing is really a no-brainer. I think it reduces a lot of that barrier.
Yeah, that's it. And I think, yes, we come from an open source world, and paying for things sometimes seems like, well, I could do it myself, or I've got the skills, etc. But it becomes a thing where it's such a no-brainer to use the product because it does so much for you so quickly that saves you time as a developer or an agency. And at that point, it's kind of thinking, well, if I can demonstrate the product in a free way to the customer to see what we can prove concept of what we're trying to achieve for them. We know that the price points, there are options for them to choose from, but also it's the value that we can add back to the developers in terms of time saving as well. So it's an all-round tool. So if it's everything's right at all ends, then it works out to be a go-to product, we hope. Yeah.
So the decision to release this is just requests from clients potentially asking for a little bit, slightly lower price point for less features.
Yeah. I mean, we didn't want to get into the thing of having a huge table of choices and different price points that kind of all too often the one thing you want is just out of reach, and it's like an extra £2,000 or something to kind of like just get that one thing. So that's why we started off with the pricing and the structure that we had. It's one price for absolutely everything. But when it comes to, you got to listen to what people want, and ultimately if there are lots of clients out there, which we know ourselves, who are smaller or just starting up, so they want a cheaper entry point, then we can do that. And then we do that by having the reduced feature set. So
yeah, I remember having the conversation with you actually at Umbraco Spark last year. And it's great to see, because what I like about Vendor is that you can go from just an Umbraco site that has nothing to do with e-commerce, and now you can go, oh, actually, I was showing off my artwork, but now I want to try and sell some of my artwork. I put a few of the products on there, and I can do this with Vendor Lite for €45 a month. So I think it's stepping it up is really good.
Yeah, and I mean, actually, speaking of Matt's talk at Spark last year, it was very much about how you retrofit a site with Vendor. Like, it's pretty simple to do. So again, it's if you already have a site that's developed, to make it an e-commerce site, it's not that much of an outlay to do that and have the time spent to get that right. And then with the cheaper option of Vendor Lite, then it's just it all just makes good sense.
Previously, I've seen those kind of conversations with clients go, oh, we need a shop. Okay, we're going to ditch our existing site, move to Shopify and kind of start from scratch there. But as you say, you don't really need to do that. And we've got clients that love Umbraco but also want e-commerce functionality, and it just all clicks in. It feels all very consistent and nice.
Yeah, and very much the ethos that actually your systems and software and e-commerce tools should work for you and how you work, not you've then got to change your practices. So if you've got a site that runs and works great, you're not then having to think, right, I've got to learn a whole new system and back office layout, or it's going to cost an absolute fortune to get it changed. It's that's the idea anyway.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, it's great to see how Vendor has evolved in the past 18 months. As we said, it came out in March, end of March last year, right at the end of March, in fact.
Yeah.
And since then, you've got Vendor V2, which is this multi-targeted V8 and V9 thing, whole bunch of providers for payments, as well as kind of a community building things there as well. And now these different pricing models, it actually feels like you've kind of evolved a bit of an ecosystem, which is really nice to see. And I think is what Umbraco needed. So, great work on that. But I was going to ask, 2 years ago, Outfield, you're an agency. You were building websites for people.
Yeah.
Is that not the case? What's changed in those 2 years?
Yeah, I think a lot's changed actually. So winding it back to really 2017 Code Garden, or maybe 2018, there was lots of conversations around whereby we'd heard that T-commerce were looking to pivot T-Solutions were looking to pivot their business and find a new home for T-commerce. And for us, that immediately sounded like a great opportunity and a great fit for Matt and I in our business and where we wanted to go. For sort of 5 to 7 years, we've developed client websites. Matt had worked for HQ previously and then set up Outfield, and I then joined the team. And we work with great clients and on some fantastic projects, but really Matt's joy in terms of working with Umbraco and development is solving problems, and the problems turn into packages, and that's what he's always done on the side. So for us, the only way to sort of do more of that is to make that pay for us and to become a commercial package entity. So it was finding the right thing and how would that work. And for the last sort of the entirety of working with the clients and building websites, we haven't had actually any significant chunks of time where we haven't been working. So it's kind of finding, which is great, and it's kind of finding the time to sort of develop things. So when the T-Solutions team chatted with us and broached, would we be the right fit for T-commerce going forward? As I say, it became this really exciting opportunity, and quite a lot of the things aligned at the same time that allowed us to really go for it and bring it all to fruition. So then obviously we announced that we took over in December 2018 of T-commerce. We knew that V8 was around the corner a lot sooner than we thought, so that kind of hit, and we then spent basically the entirety of 2019 developing Vendor, which isn't just the software, it's the branding, it's the website, it's everything that goes around it to make it work. And then, as you say, we launched at the end of March last year, and we always had in the back of our mind that if it really took off and that it would need a lot of focus, it would need time to support it, to continue improvements and so on. So we had in our mind that our regular repeat clients, we would potentially have to find them new homes. But actually, sort of at the end of last summer, it became clear that that would have to happen a lot sooner than we thought. At the beginning of launching Vendor, and which coincided with the beginning of the pandemic, it was kind of, we were in flux a bit because all of our jobs in the pipeline with clients disappeared because everybody had to take a step back and take stock of how things were going to work for the next however long. Nobody knew what the situation might be. So on one hand, it was really scary, but on the other hand, it gave us time, which allowed us to fully focus on Vendor and get things sort of the next thing, features and improvements and add-ons out a lot sooner than perhaps we would have done. So by the end of summer, going into autumn, we had already handed over a few clients to different sets of Umbraco safe hands. And then we were kind of gutted to lose. One of our clients was a really big major client, and we've worked with them for years, and we've done some really great projects with them, and they've become good friends as well. So to sort of broach the subject to say, look, we really need to move on because we've got these plans and we really need to see how it goes, and give it a chance. So we set up a nice handover for them to a fellow Umbraco developer team, and they're off doing their thing now, which is great. But that does mean now we are fully focused on Vendor and other commercial packages that we decide to put out there, which to begin with was, as I say, was super scary. But actually, the reaction to Vendor has been really good, and sales are strong, and we're seeing lots of fabulous sites being launched with Vendor, and it's just really exciting to see, and it validates all the hard work and effort that we have put in, and Matt in particular, because without his dev brain, we won't be here. So I think
this is a really funny thing to mention. So we're big fans of the Package Manifest podcast as well, and in the recent episode, Matt discussed this idea of we, and so Kevin also always refers to USync as we've released this, and everyone, as Kevin said, people look at me going, what are you on about? It's just you. What are you talking about? But in the case of Vendor, I think it's safe to say it's a true team thing. Like you say, the all the work that went into producing it, branding, everything. It's so slick. The communications about products, change the product, and new release and stuff are so smooth and so professional. And of course, it's the kind of high quality technical product we'd expect from Matt. But I think the combination, the team effort there, actually makes Vendor the success that it is. The kind of well polished, rounded. You could call it a company, I guess. Like as I said, an ecosystem before. Everything as a package, it just works so well. It feels so consistent, and clients can have faith in that. Like we can send a client all the information about Vendor, and they can believe in it. So, I wouldn't give Matt all the credit at all. I think it's very much a we thing in this case with Vendor, and it's not like not saying that Kevin's not busy or talented either, but like his we is probably quite different to your us. I was going to add to that though. So the Package Manifest podcast, Matt discussed some potential future things.
Yes.
And so now I'll bring it up on screen. This has been teased for a little while, hasn't it? Matt's spoken about it. It's not really a secret that Fluidity, very popular for V7, was a success and
award-winning.
Award-winning, yeah. Does that mean you've got 2 award-winning?
Indeed.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
But now you're kind of this commercial package creation entity. Now that's what Outfield does. Much like USync, Kevin said, the open source, the commercial stuff feeds the open source stuff, and it's the same with Umbraco as well. They say that, but Matt's still got a hell of a lot of free open source packages that have kind of sat there. Big challenges of whether to migrate some of those to V9 or what to migrate. But one of the things that keeps being asked for is Fluidity. And I believe Matt said on the podcast that for V9, maybe, or at least he's got a working version for V9, that this new thing called Konstrukt will kind of take Fluidity's place. Do you know anything more about that?
Not the technical details of what it's taken to get it to this point, sure. But it's a pretty hefty tool. There's a lot of complexities to it in terms of the original build for Fluidity was very complex. And the same can be said for what will now be known as Konstrukt. So yeah, it's taken a chunk of time to get it where it needs to be. There's still some testing to do. We need to provide it with all its own website and so on, so that it has its own entity. But yeah, it's going to be the next commercial offering from Outfield Digital.
Wow. So you're properly kind of, becoming you're not a one-trick pony. It's not just Vendor. It's like
hopefully not
other commercial Umbraco solutions too.
It is. But very much the focus is Vendor in terms of that's our main product, and that's something that's going to require a lot more support, a lot more improvements and features and so on as time goes by. And obviously, as you hinted at before, getting the V2 version out has taken a decent amount of time, but quite surprising how quickly, in a sense, that some of things took. Because actually, integrating for V9 was great, but the structure behind having the dual targeting was the main thing for us, so that we had flexibility of maintenance and able as a small team. So
able to support the kind of the 2 versions, hopefully simultaneously.
Yeah, that's it. So, Konstrukt will be V9 only. So that's not got those same headaches, if you like, but it'd be a smaller entity to sort of look after from a support perspective, but a valuable tool nonetheless. We think that it will be quite a popular one.
Yeah, and from judging by Vendor, we know you're not going to just, smash it out and put a price tag on it and put it up for sale. There'll be a lot of marketing and stuff behind it too.
Yeah, it's got to be right. It's got to be right. Certainly. So docs, etc., has all got to follow suit. So.
Wow, very exciting. So a crazy 2 years for you, but hopefully, very successful, and will continue to be, because
thank you.
We love the work that you're both doing. So well done.
Thank you.
I said we keep this week short, and we will. So we're going to wrap some stuff up now. I've got a few little bits of other news that we can we can share, and the links will all be down below, of course. Carol this week, or last weekend, I think actually, had a nice blog post explaining, what's the deal with Models Builder in V9, and it's a pretty nice, clear overview of how to get up and running with Models Builder. Also, Warren, we love Warren. He's released a video this morning of how to get a multilingual site set up on V9 with IIS, which is really cool. And maybe Paul, your colleague Matt, he posted the other day. He had a nice he's got a script, hasn't he, that kind of builds the host names out for a multilingual site. He said he had a few hundred host names or something that needed adding, and was able to run it, and it kind of just all worked. Do you know what's the deal with that for V9? Will that be a thing?
I think he's already trying to get it to work for V9. I think he did when V9 first came out. He already found a way to get it to work in IIS. So therefore, his script builder, the IIS builder, actually does work already. So I think he may have a blog post about it, or if not, that might prompt him by me saying it. It might prompt him to put a blog post.
Not trying to create any more work for you, Matt, but it'd be cool to see. Speaking of packages and add-ons, the package team ran a kind of community office hours a couple of weeks back where they highlighted some of the great work that was awarded in the package awards at Code Garden, including from Sam Mullins, his ecstatic package, and Contentment from Lee. And I believe it's Lee's birthday today. So happy birthday, Lee. But yeah, the video's up on YouTube. Go give that a watch.
I was on the judging panel for that, but I didn't know about this conversation.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Cool. And Umbraco has given up writing blog posts for individual people joining because there's just too many of them. So there's now one blog post here introducing the new interns that have joined and kind of the process that they go through when joining, getting handed their laptops and shown where the toilets are, that sort of thing. But yeah, that's up on the Umbraco blog. Go give that a read. And finally, congratulations to Soren, who managed to get our Umbraco bingo this week and filled in all of the recent posts slots there, which is pretty impressive. He's giving Matt and co a run for their money with regards to the karma points, Karma King. Well done, Soren. And yeah, that's all. It was a light news week, but still some big news. So Vendor Lite, really exciting. We're going to be using that on a project coming up.
Super.
Some exciting packages in the pipeline, people teasing them. Paul, you've promised you're going to be making some image sharp libraries or packages on here and a starter kit. So I look forward to seeing those. Yeah, that's it. Did I miss anything? Is there anything else?
I don't think so.
I've got the outside edge of my Umbraco Code Garden jigsaw done.
Oh, well done. Is that 1,000 piece or?
Yeah, 1,000. Yeah.
1,000 pieces. Nice. Yeah, that's going to take you a while, I think. Yeah. Like the ones where it's like a baked bean puzzle.
Oh no.
Which you can't do those. Or the one that's like it's all green or it's all blue. Impossible to.
Never doing that.
Well, let us know when you've done it. I think Lee had one and he managed to do it, didn't he?
Yeah, I think he had a 500 piece. I think. Yeah.
Oh, only 500.
Yeah.
Easy.
Yeah, very easy. Cool. Well, thank you both for joining. It was great to catch up. As I said, we've not spoken in a while, but this was really nice.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, happy Friday, happy weekend, everyone. We will see you next week, hopefully with some more Umbraco news. But in the meantime, enjoy, stay safe. Bye.
See you next week. Bye.